What's going on, motherfuckers? Welcome to the Crocs and Hot Pockets podcast. My name is Knackers, and today is Sunday, December 8th, 2019, and this is episode number 114. And today on the podcast, we have the one and only JomoSenpai. What's going on, dude?
Dude, I've been waiting. I've been looking forward to this since my workday ended on Friday, and I've just been waiting in anticipation to be here.
It is honestly, it is an honor to have you here because you are somebody that I have been watching from afar from quite some time, and you have a brain that I would love to pick. And you have a story that seems so intriguing, and I would love for you to kind of dive into it on the podcast here. And so, as I mentioned before, I was like, he took the call and I noticed that he was outside walking. And I'm like, Jomo, are you going to mobily podcast for the whole thing? He's like, yeah, man, I'm a walk and talker. This is what I do. And I was absolutely floored by it. So please explain.
Well, I just when I don't know, when I'm on calls, inside and outside of work, I like to walk around. I like to be remote, because the conversation just flows better. Things come out of me easier. I'm sitting right now, but I found this really cool area around one of the UBC buildings, because I live on campus. I live on the University of British Columbia campus.
Okay.
And there's students everywhere, and I just found this nice little nook here where I'm not disrupting anyone, and I was this is the place I'm gonna be while I'm on the podcast.
That's awesome. And then so I see him walking around, and he does a quick 180, and I see snow in the background, and I look at this man's attire, and I notice no jacket, no beanie, no hat of any. I mean, you have a hat of hair that's probably doing a good job of keeping you warm. Mm-hmm. But I'm just like, oh my God, he's actually walking outside. What?
I grew up on the West Coast, on the West Coast, close to the ocean, and my dad would go swimming in the ocean in the dead of winter. And yeah, he's insane, but he'll submerge himself in the ocean, which is part of the Pacific Ocean. And it's dude, your body, you would go into shock, your body would shut down if you submerge yourself. And I don't know, growing up with him, I got to appreciate just the feeling the cold air on your body and getting comfortable with the cold. And I'm not as hardcore as that. I don't go fucking swimming in the ocean in the winter.
Right.
But I don't know. I think there is something to there is something healthy about feeling comfortable in the cold with the cold air, brushing up against you.
This is super weird, but every time I get back on the exercise bandwagon, I always start running outside in the wintertime because I enjoy it way more than running in the summer. And I've never known why that is. There's definitely a rush that comes out of being live, or not being live. Goddamn. Being alive, running outside in the cold, just hot sweat, cold air. And then I find it way easier to run when I'm breathing in cold air rather than 80, 90 degree heat. It doesn't blend well for me. So I've always found it easier for me to run in the wintertime.
Yeah. Pros and cons to running in heat versus cold, I think, but there's never a good excuse to go for a fucking it doesn't matter what time of year it is, how you're feeling. There's never a good excuse to do it. So you just have to clear your mind, put on your shoes, and get out the door.
This is true. Very true. Well, you alluded to work a little bit earlier, and I've only recently seen posts on Twitter regarding what you did, and I don't know what I expected you to do for work, but I was at the same time I was still a little bit shocked. So I would love to know what you do for your day job.
So I when I graduated high school, my mom handed me a check for $10,000. And she was like, John, this is like my final contribution to you. Like, after this, you can go to school with this, you can go traveling with this, but after this check, you'll never see like any financial support from me for the rest of your life. And I was like, okay. And so I started
Whoa.
yeah, like it was intense. I took that money, and I grew up playing drums in like a bunch of Vancouver bands. So I used to be like a pretty hardcore musician. And I was always the guy that would like build the websites, book the tours, book the shows, like handle the finances. And so I was like, I'm gonna like take this money and start like a music management company, because I was already very immersed in it. And so I did that for about 4 years. And this is like just when Facebook started like blowing up in, like 2005, 2006, 2007. And so I like very early on started like using social media to like promote bands and to promote tours. Then I did that for about 4 years, and I like hit a wall. Um, I wasn't like really making any money. It was really hard working like with artists.
Oh yeah.
And like the Canadian music industry is it's very different than like, the US. But it was really hard, and I hit a wall, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I had I didn't go to, college or university, and somehow I transitioned into like marketing and advertising. And then I did that for a while.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, I think I know enough that I can just like do this on my own again. And so, like 7 years ago, I started a digital marketing agency with, a few people, and I've just been like doing that ever since. And so to simplify it, we work I mostly just do like the client relationship management stuff now.
Okay.
But we do like CRM, automation systems integration, things like search engine optimization.
No shit.
That sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah, and I faked it till I made it.
Hey,
Like,
it's exactly what I did too.
Yeah, I got one client, and I was like, is a friend of mine, and I was like, I'm gonna do all this stuff for you for free to like try and like promote your company and your business and generate more revenue from you. I've never done this before, so I'm not gonna. So I just like sought out that school, if you will. Made a ton of mistakes, like failed many, many times. And then eventually, like I started getting a little better at it, and it was just like kind of the right place, the right time, because this was also at a place where, digital was just really kind of like companies really didn't know what to do. And now it's like normal, and everyone's talking about AI and machine learning, but
right.
It's just like we're glorified Googlers. Like as marketers, as digital marketers, we're just really good at Googling shit.
I work in IT, and I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, we are glorified Googlers, but the key is to know what to do with the information you receive once you do the Googling. Because if you don't know what to do with it once you get it, then you're pretty much the same as everybody else.
Exactly. And having the confidence to problem solve and focus on a problem until you found like a good solution that works for everyone. That's a skill that not a lot of people have, right? So it is like a specialty to some degree, I think.
Is that something that you realized you had once you started getting into it, or is that kind of one of the skills that you built while you were in the job?
I think I probably built it when I was in the music industry, because it was all about like creatively getting people out to a show, or like creatively getting people to like listen to a song or check out an album or something like that. And this is like I got in when all the big labels were like tanking, and the music was just completely turned on its head. And so it was like kind of a Wild West. And it was like if you weren't doing something kind of like new and innovative, you probably weren't, doing much.
Right.
So I like to think that I sort of was forced into kind of learning that attitude and that kind of state of mind back then, and then I just took that into what I do today. Yeah. But it's definitely like you can't be afraid of failure,
Yeah, and I think that speaks true to the streaming as well, because once you get into it, you're like, oh, okay, I see what's going on now. And I'm sure you know all about that.
Yeah.
A couple days, it was either a couple days ago or a week, I saw you, it looked like you were teaching a classroom of kids. Was that involved? Was that related to your day job as well?
No, that's completely different. That's part of my streaming stuff. So, pretty much the vast majority of the money I make on Twitch through like bits, donations, subscriptions goes towards those things. And I'm not really supposed to take photos of like, in the classroom. It's generally not like, allowed, but I had all the kids designing logos on computers and they were all facing the screens. And I was like, okay, like now's a good time to like snap a quick photo.
Yeah.
But I try to run regular workshops. And I want to eventually do this full time where I'm just like going to like public schools and community centers, doing like after school programs where kids are like just learning about the content creation industry, like Twitch and YouTube, and even things like just how to stay safe online and like, online security and privacy and like positive gaming and like balancing gaming with life. And it's crazy because I think largely most parents are not equipped. Gaming is so much bigger now than it was when like you and I were growing up.
Absolutely.
And it's just like it changes like exponentially every year. And so and I wish like I had something like that when I was growing up. Like I wish I had some kind of like after school program that like a big kid was just talking to me about this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't think I realized that existed. And I had no idea that was a thing. That was like something that I just now found out about.
Yeah, I've heard of a few organizations that kind of do this. I mean, I'm just one person, but I'm pretty good at like corralling a group of kids. I can like and it's something I enjoy, and it's like what an amazing thing to like use the money that your community is giving you to like reinvest it in that way. I just think that's like full circle, it's like,
of course,
because I think I've worked with a lot of people that do like Indiegogos and Kickstarters, and it's really important, like if you're taking someone's money, I think it's really important for them to know and have a very clear understanding of what that money is being used for. Of course they want to support the creator, the streamer, the YouTuber, but it's okay if it's just going into your bank account, but people should know that.
Where the hell do you find the time between your full-time job and streaming and doing that as well?
It's really hard. It's really hard. Like I constantly have, like I'm constantly fighting all these like desires to, sit on the couch and watch TV. And the one thing I find hard to fit into it all is like exercise. Like I do struggle with staying active. But yeah, I don't know. Like I think what motivated me was I about like 5 years into starting my company, I just like didn't see an end goal with it. Like I knew this was something I didn't want to do for the rest of my life, and with my therapist kind of asked me, she was like, what would you do if you didn't need to like wake up and go into the office and you had just like an unlimited source of money? What would you do? And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was floored by that question. And it took me a little while to kind of get an answer, which was just, you know, probably play video games, maybe like make YouTube videos or stream on Twitch. And she was like, I do not want you to come back here until you've at least started doing that. And I was like, okay, like done. So that's kind of, and so the streaming thing and the gaming workshops for kids, sort of like, for me, that's like what's after my marketing day job. So eventually, you know, there's enough where there's like, it's the same with every streamer, right? Like we're all trying to get to a point where content creation can support at least like a basic income, you know, for us to do more of it and like do more of what we love.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a question that I have been asking myself recently. And I too, like, I remember when I first asked myself that, I'm like, well, I know the things that I love to do, but are they things that I would want to do all the time or all day? Or is it something that I would want my livelihood to rely off of? And when I think about Twitch, I'm like, would I want to stream all the time? And would I want to be a full-time streamer? And my normal answer to that is no. I love the aspect of creating content and being live, but would I want to be playing video games for 8 to 10 hours a day for 5 days a week? And again, the answer to that is no. Even though I love video games, I've already gotten a taste of what it's like to try really, really, really hard at Twitch playing video games all the time. And there's like the pros and cons of running in the cold. There are pros and cons of streaming video games all the time. And one of those is playing video games now has become a job. It has become a chore. And there's, even when you're not streaming and you want to go play video games, there's still this, I have to work in order to do this thing. And it can kind of drain the fun right out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I believe, like, I'm certainly one of those people that, like, I don't inherently believe that people should be doing the same thing for more than like 4 or 5 years max. But that being said, there's lots of people that, you know, do the same job for their entire lives and they're completely happy with it. But, you know, if and when, you know, anyone becomes a full-time content creator, they might get tired of it in 4 or 5 years. Like, I don't think anyone should be doing anything their entire life, you know, like
Absolutely.
Maybe 10 years from now, I want to like go be a flight attendant or something and like travel the world. You know, it's like whatever you feel your passion is dragging you in one direction, like that is where you should go. But that's not to say that that's the rest of your life. It's just what gives you energy and like what feeds your creativity in that specific moment.
That's a really, really good point. And so I've been doing Twitch for 6.5 years now. And
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say seriously, I've been doing Twitch for probably like 3 years, like actually having a schedule, putting time and effort into the content, you know, working off stream on things to do on stream instead of just like hitting live, playing video games for a couple hours and then going offline. But
yeah,
even after 6.5 years, I don't feel that I have a handle on everything. I feel like it's still to this day, I'm learning things every single day.
Totally. And you mentioned one thing that I was kind of like wanted to address, which is, you know, just playing video games full time, 8 hours a day. That would, like, no one would like that. I don't care how much you enjoy video games. But to me, like, streaming, you know, I think you can expand in so many different directions. Like,
oh yeah,
I've done like IRL streams in the woods where I'm just like walking around, just chatting. And I like that because sometimes I don't want to be inside playing
Right.
video games. Or I went to Japan for 2 months and just like streamed in Japan and walked around Osaka and Kyoto and Tokyo and like played video games in like a little 6x6 closet bedroom too. So I think there's ways that you can make it more exciting, and all of us like as individuals have to take responsibility for creating that excitement and not just getting like caught up in the whirlwind and like the monotonous like routine. You know, if you're bored of it, you've got to like shake it up. You've got to do something. And like going to a different country is a great way to do that.
Yes.
I know most people don't have the luxury to do that. I'm aware of that, but if there's one thing I've learned from Japan, it's like traveling doesn't have to be as expensive as everyone thinks it is.
No, it really doesn't. You can get places fairly cheap. Obviously, the airfare is going to be your largest receipt, but there's plenty of other stuff that you can do that doesn't require a huge budget.
Yeah, I think I stayed in Osaka for 2 weeks, and it was like $19 a night Canadian.
For that little
which is
cube?
like in US dollars. For that little cube. And when I got there, I was like, "Oh, this is a little fucked up, but you know, let's dive in. Like, let's just do it, you know." And then it's also, I think, largely that's how a lot of Japanese places are. Believe it or not, you know, like a lot of Japanese people do live in little cubes like that.
Yeah, I have seen. I've just done like some research on houses in other countries. And there are some places that like the kitchen, the bedroom, and the bathroom are literally all in the same room. And you have just a bunch of doors that open up from walls that bring out different appliances. And it's absolutely insane. So how did you end up in Japan? Like, what made you go out that way? Was it for business, for pleasure?
No, it was like a spirit quest for me. Like,
that's what I'm talking about.
Japan is the only, like, ever since I can remember, like my first memories of like Japanese like art and culture were me, like, you know, when I was like 5-6 years old, like watching these weird anime shows and movies on, like, you know, Teletoons late at night. And I also like I think like one of my first friends was also Japanese, and like when I would go to his house, he had all these weird like action figures, and like the food his mom would make for us was like so crazy and weird to me at that age, but it was delicious and interesting. And so just throughout my entire life, I've always had these experiences of Japanese people and culture, and then like, you know, Nintendo is so. My whole life, Japan is really the one country I had always wanted to go to. And
another sub on
I just had
Anachromonchus.
this moment, like, you know, I was like, if I don't do this now, I'm never gonna do it. Like I turned 30 last year, and it's like 30. Like,
oh shit!
Turning 30 and like really not being to this place you've always wanted to go to.
Right.
I just like, it scared me because I was like, you know, another 10 years will go by if I don't book this, you know? So.
And you went by yourself?
I got a really good flight deal. Yeah, I went by myself for the first like month and a bit. And then my girlfriend came to meet me just a little halfway through.
Okay.
But I told her, I was like, I have to do this myself, at least most of it, right? I don't want it to be tainted by anything. Like, no offense to her, obviously.
Right, yeah.
But like, this is like my thing that I've been waiting to do my whole life, and I have to do it alone for like for most of it. And it is so fucking scary. Like, if you're a privileged white dude that's had like a sheltered life on the West Coast or in like a country that you're very familiar with, it's just like terrifying. Nobody speaks English, right? Very few people speak English, and like Japan as a country is very like serious about maintaining their culture, and it's like you just have to like immerse yourself in that fear and walk out the door. And every time I walked out the door, it was like I still had this like tinge of anxiety. But that's why you travel, you know, like that is what you should seek when you travel, is being uncomfortable and being okay with being uncomfortable, you know?
Did you do any language learning preparation on your way out there? Did you already have a little bit of knowledge?
Yeah. I did I learned a bunch of basic things, like how to ask for stuff at a restaurant, how to ask for directions, how to be like super, super polite.
Okay.
How to like apologize profusely, a bunch of stuff. Yeah, and actually, my friend Chase, who I met on Twitch, he's half Japanese, and he's like, "Dude, I'll help you," and I was like, "Thank you, I'll take you up on that." And him and I, like once a week for an hour, we just try and like speak Japanese to each other, and so I
That's
did
awesome.
do some preparation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other than your like the desire for a spiritual journey, is there anything else not so spiritual that you wanted? Like you're like, I know that I want to do this thing in Japan, and did you end up accomplishing it?
Yeah, pretty much everything. Like the one thing, I mean, the biggest thing is like Akihabara. Have you heard of Akihabara?
No.
So Akihabara is like the weeb video game anime capital of the world.
Okay.
And it's a whole region of Tokyo that's just arcades, video games, anime, cosplay. And so that was, you know, a place I wanted to spend some time in. And it did not disappoint. But I also wanted to go to Kyoto and see like traditional Japan. And I just wanted to see, like, you know, Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto are really very, you know, it's just kind of, that's like a regular tour of Japan.
Okay.
So I didn't really go outside of the regular zones. I'll tell you one thing that actually changed my life more than I thought it would. And this might sound weird, but onsens and sentos, so public bathhouses.
Really?
And you just go in, you take off all your clothes, you strip down nude, and you just bathe with a bunch of other dudes. And like everyone's washing themselves. Nobody like gives a shit about what you look like, not even if you're like a big hairy white dude. And there's like hot tubs and cold pools and herbal baths, and it's like it's a thing that's very deeply rooted in Japan's history. And I started like trying to go to sentos like every day because it was so relaxing and such a positive experience.
Whoa.
And it's one of the things I miss most about North America is like, we don't do that here.
No.
You know? That's weird. That is considered weird.
Yes.
Like,
yes, it is.
But in Japan, it's like after work, if you're a salaryman, after work, you go to the Sento and you unwind and you wash yourself of the day. And it's like 45 minutes. And then you go home and you're like completely rejuvenated.
Interesting. I feel like I feel like it's so cliche and, might I say, stereotypical to see in movies when they are trying to portray some sort of like Asian culture. There's always like a bathhouse or a massage parlor or something. And I've never thought that was like, oh no, that's actually what they do.
Man, there is bathhouses, sentos. So a sento, I'll tell you the difference between the two of them.
Okay.
Sento is a public bathhouse. So the Sentos are just like a little more kind of grungy. They use like the regular like city water. But onsens are much more better quality. They use like spring water, and it's more like natural. And Sentos, like public bathhouses, are all over the cities, everywhere. But then onsens are a little more harder to find. You kind of like, so like oftentimes you have to take, the train a bit of a ways to get to one.
Okay.
But like, oh man, it was so nostalgic. Like on the second to last day of like my 2-month journey in Japan, I went to one of the nicest onsens, like in the mountains of Kyoto. And there's like snow and running water and like bamboo, like just quintessential what you would see
Whoa.
in a movie. And like, you get your private room, your private onsen that's like you can see the water falling down from the mountain and where it's being captured and like what you're bathing in.
No shit.
And yeah, man. It's like that is what that is like what they're all about, and so like you gotta go. Yeah, everyone has to go.
Are they like pay to enter or are they just open?
No, there's like a very small fee. It's like what you'd pay. So for Sentos, it's what you'd pay for like a community to go into a community center.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, like $6, $7, $8, $10. Onsens are a little more expensive just because, for obvious reasons. They're harder to build. They're in more remote places. They're harder to like keep up. So you can pay like $20, $30 to go into an onsen. But it's like I got to a point where that's just like every day. That's just like my whole days revolved around which new onsen or sento I was going to go to.
That is the last thing I expected to talk about in regards to wanting to hear about your trip to Japan. That's insane.
It's definitely, I think, one of the more interesting and authentic things that I did that I didn't know that I was going to.
Now, is that now a reason why there aren't as many? Because I've seen, like, in my journey for searching for places over in Japan, that bathrooms they're not as prominent over there. Like, obviously there's a toilet and a sink, but as far as having like a full bathroom with a shower, it seemed to be not as common. And is that why?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, probably because like they've just spent less time, perfecting their personal bathrooms because like sentos are such a big part of the culture.
Okay.
You still get so like common Japanese bathroom is, very tiny square cube and the toilet's there and you're just kind of showering and like water's getting all over the sink and the toilet and but some of them have bathtubs and like the bathtubs in Japan are shorter in length and just like taller.
Okay.
In
height?
Width.
Oh.
I don't know. Height. That's the word I was looking for. They're higher. And so like for like big white dudes, you have to like you can't stretch out in a Japanese bathtub, but you're submerged up to your neck, which is really nice.
I can't stretch out in a regular ass bathtub.
Yeah. It's weird. It's hard to explain.
Well, yeah, because how tall are you?
6 feet.
Okay, so we're at about the same size. Yeah, even in normal bathtubs.
Yeah.
Okay, I just Googled just for funsies, Japanese bathtub, and I'm seeing short, tall, and round bathtubs that are 42 inches high. Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's something I noticed, that was like different.
Okay.
Which I prefer because like if you're like a tall bit of a thick boy like myself, like if you have a regular bath in a North American bathtub, like a lot of your body is not in the water. Like most like a part of your body is not submerged.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yep. My girlfriend would be in love with this.
Bathing is a big thing for me.
Yeah. Jomo knows his baths. I guess I've never felt like, I have to stretch out. It could just be like, oh no, I could sit crisscross applesauce and just like, if the water was up to my neck and just my little head was poking out, I'd have a good time.
Yeah. It's like, bathing is a luxury, whether you think so or not, right? And it's like it's a luxury that I often think about. I went and worked on a farm in Italy a number of years ago for like 2-3 weeks, and they had a well. They had like a cold ass well, and so you just like you siphon water from the well and like just bathe with that, right?
Oh.
Like, yeah.
How did you end up working on a farm in Italy? Please dive into that.
Oh, well, I guess at some point, my girlfriend and I found out about like the World Organic Farm Association. And what you can do, this is like a great way to travel very, very cheaply.
Okay.
You can go and look at all these farms all over the world, literally all over the world. And they'll post labor for room and board, right? And so we found this. We decided it was something we wanted to do. And so we like basically we reached out to this little hobby farm in Sardinia, Italy. And, we're going to be there for like 2 weeks. And so that's just kind of how we did it. And, it's a risk because you don't really know what you're getting into until you get there. So I just pretty much like scooped sheep shit for like many days.
Oh my God.
Which is like, okay, like this is what we're doing.
But room and board.
Contribute. But yeah, and it was funny enough. It was actually the most beautiful experience we had in Italy because you get to know, like you get to learn about the culture so much more than eating at like, fucking touristy restaurant and shit, right?
Oh yeah. You have officially become the most interesting person that I've had on the podcast. I had no idea.
Dude, thank you.
Like I had an idea of what kind of dude you were, but it's obvious that I had absolutely no idea what kind of dude you were. So and did you go there? Did you want to go to Italy and that was a way that you could travel cheaply? Or you're like, no, I want to do this. Like, I want to go work on a farm out in Italy. And that's like the premise of the trip.
Well, look, believe it or not, like starting your own company it's not like a great way to make a lot of money.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I'm like, okay, I wanna travel. Because I didn't really do any traveling. Like a lot of my friends went traveling before they went to college or university, and I was just working. And so I felt like I had missed out on a lot of that. And like once I turned 30, I was like, once I was almost turning 30, I was like, I really need to start, getting up. And so I didn't have a lot of money to go traveling. I knew how to find cheap flights, which really helped. That is a skill that you have to learn. And then I don't know how we found out about this organization with all the farms, but we basically stayed in Sardinia for free for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Right? Which is like that's you can't do that without being creative.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
I guess like for them having someone scoop shit for like days on end was worth them giving up one of their yurts in the back.
Right. Yeah. Like, why not? It's like it's not like they had to build it in order for you to stay there. It was already there. So what did you do for food while you were there? Did they cook? Did you go out for food?
Dude, we just ate shit that was on the farm.
You ate the sheep shit?
No, did not eat the sheep shit. But by the time I was done scooping it, I felt like I had already ingested a bunch of it.
Oh God.
Dude, there was a point where like when you're scooping shit and like getting into the layers of like ammonia buildup, you get an out of body experience because you can't, like, if you're focusing on scooping sheep shit that has been piling up for an entire year, there's no way you're gonna last. So like you have to like get in this weird Zen state and just put your body on autopilot.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. Autopilot from scoop and poop.
We would eat tomato salads. We would eat they made their own cheese. They had cabbage, lettuce, olive oil. Just eat whatever's on the farm. It was like the most cleansing experience of my life.
Literally, because you're just eating fresh fruits and vegetables all day, like shit. And oh God, I can't even imagine the olive oil from Italy. Ah.
And then when we got back to like the city, the bus took us to like a little bus depot, and there's a McDonald's there. And we got McDonald's the first 40 minutes off the bus, and it was just like an orgasmic experience.
It was great. I was wondering if you were going to go in the opposite direction.
No, we must have been really hungry because I'm not the type of person to like throw all that out.
Right.
But, we did, and it's just like, man, McDonald's is insane. Like. It's insane, especially after you've been eating vegetables for 2 weeks.
Right. Did you build any sort of bond or relationship with the people that you were staying with, or was it just strictly business?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like we would spend every morning, every evening with them. And like I learned a lot of Italian. Like everyone in Canada, like French is our second language.
Mm-hmm.
And French, like when you know French, Spanish, or Italian, it's easy to pick up stuff from like any one of those languages because they all kind of are derived from the same roots. And so, like when we left the farm, we both, my girlfriend and I, experienced this like kind of like deep sense of loss because we kind of like knew that was really the highlight of the trip, is like spending time with this little Italian family, and just like living simply. And it's funny you asked that question because when we got to the next town, when we got to our next Airbnb, which was like 2 hours away, we were eating at this like touristy Italian restaurant just with like pasta and stuff, and we were like, we need to go back. Like, we need to go back to the farm. And so we packed up our shit and drove back and just showed up again. So we could spend one last day with them.
Wow.
Yeah, like that's how much of an impact it had.
That was not the answer that I was expecting, but it's very heartwarming to hear that.
Can I tell you one more thing about the farming experience?
Absolutely.
So they had like all these big jugs of water, which I just assumed came from like the well or something. But one day when I woke up, the lady of the farm was like, we're gonna go get water today. I'm like, okay, is that in the city? Or is that here, like on the farm? And she's like, no, I'll show you. And so we loaded up a bunch of jugs in the back of, this shitty little car. And we're driving for like 45 minutes. And I'm like, so where are we going? Like, we've passed several several grocery stores. And she's like, I'll show you. Like, and she's being weirdly secretive about it. And it was kind of awkward. But so she pulls over to the side of the road in like this mountain pass. We had like driven up into like the mountains of Sardinia. And she's like, okay, like, can like carry a bunch of jugs. And so we walk down this ravine into the mountain. And there's like, we get down to this little area, and there's like a small like mountain water runoff that's like in this little place. And she's like, this is where we get the water.
Wow.
And she's like, this is like magical water. And the mountain purifies it. As a family, like, we've been drinking it for generations. And so we just like filled up like 12 jugs of water in this, like, it was just, I fucking thought I was dreaming. Like, I thought I was in this weird fever dream.
She was probably so stoked that she had a big burly man to carry all these jugs of water back. She's like, oh, thank God we get water for another 2 months.
Yeah, that must have been it. Yeah, because it's not a quick task to like go and get water from that place. Like, it was labor intensive.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Yeah, it was also amazing.
So I think I know the answer to this question, and I'm saddened by it, but at the same time, I'm not surprised. Do you bring a camera with you, and do you take pictures when you go to these places? Because I'm trying to picture them in my head. And as a somebody who listens to someone else telling a story about how they want to go on a journey, I would assume that you would probably leave as much technology behind. In Japan, I imagine you probably had your phone because it's a little bit easier to get around. But for these remote destinations, do you try and leave the phone? Do you even bring a phone?
Yep. So yeah, like I do bring a phone everywhere I go, but like, I don't take as many pictures as most people do.
Okay.
Like, you see people that just are dominated by like taking photos of shit, and then you miss out on like, being in the moment. But I took some photos of Italy, a lot of photos of Japan, because I was alone a lot, just walking around exploring. So yeah, and like the other thing too is I have to like have some access to email, and
right.
I kind of have to just be available sort of all the time.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, like, I do have to have technology with me wherever I go.
Was there Wi-Fi out on the farm?
Barely any.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
Barely any. That's a good question, because we would get like little pockets. We get little pockets of Wi-Fi, and every time we found like some data, we'd download a bunch of podcasts, and that was kind of it.
And just go from there. That's crazy, man. So Canada, Japan, Italy, have those been like your major travels since turning 30?
Well, Italy was like when I was like 28, I think.
Okay.
28, 29. But I've like been around, like I've been a bunch of places in the US. I went to France. My dad took me to France when I was like 16. But the big ones for me, like my big trips, were those ones, like Japan and Italy. Like, those are the ones I was like, I paid for, like I did all the planning. Yeah. So
awesome. One last thing I wanted to touch on before we jump into the question and answer. I've always been very intrigued with your journey leading up to streaming on Twitch, and I believe it was either your pinned tweet or it was a video tweet a couple weeks ago where you talked about how you prepared yourself for streaming for a year. And then even after that year, it took you months to actually get the courage to go live. And I think so you talked about the story earlier about how your therapist was like, hey, if you were to do, one thing whenever you chose to woke up, what would you do? And you said streaming. Was that when you're like, yes, I'm going to stream? Like that was like the turning point that led you to wanting to actually try streaming on Twitch?
Yeah, that was like, I had been on Twitch before that. Like I always thought it was like really cool and fascinating that, these like gamers are playing live and like this community is like rallying and interacting behind this like shared and common interest. But I had never considered trying it myself until she coaxed it out of me.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because it's just, I didn't like, I'm not a big PC builder. I didn't have any equipment. I didn't know how to use any of the software. So it took me like an entire year to get everything together to do it.
There was recently can't remember how recent. I remember you talking. It was a whole conversation about you starting on Twitch, the conversation with your therapist. But at the same time, there was also a lot of people telling you not to stream on Twitch, or there was people that were in your life that were like, no, this is a bad idea. Don't do this. Am I correct in thinking that? Okay.
No, you're right. Yeah. Man, my whole life, I have been surrounded by people telling me that shit is impossible, that like you can't do this, it's not how this works. And streaming was no different. Like I would talk to like other gamer friends of mine, they would be like they'd just be like, yeah, like that ship is kind of set sailed, you're not going to get anywhere, you're not going to go anywhere. It's not going to like work out, and like, isn't that the truth with anything in life? When you want to do something very different and kind of crazy, like you'll always get people that try and like talk you out of it. And that's, funny enough, like that's typically when, it's a good idea, when like when people are trying to like talk you out of it.
Yep.
That's a good cue for you to be like, all right, now I'm onto something. when people are like, when it makes people uncomfortable.
Well, also LOL for thinking that streaming that isn't even a decade old, the ship has sailed. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just, people either like they didn't really understand it, and I didn't really understand it either, to be honest. I had no idea. Like when I first went on, like I was fully expecting, dude, to just get hate and like to have toxic people come in and be like, who the fuck are you? Like, what are you doing? Like that is what I was going in expecting. And it took months. Like it took me a long time to even just get like one or two people.
Oh yeah.
To like come in, right? And then over time, you get another person that likes to hang out, another person. And then I wrote the Growth Hackers Guide to growing your Twitch channel, and then like, that's like really, I think, how a lot of people found out about me.
Okay. And that was on Medium, right?
Yeah.
Where
it was a 6-part.
Where those people that were pushing their own insecurities in their lives on you, where are they now with you and streaming? Have they been like, oh man, no, this is actually like a viable option for you, or holy shit, we didn't realize how happy you are? Where are they now?
Yeah. They're still around, and their minds are blown. Okay. They're totally like, they've like admitted that they were wrong. In fact, one of my friends who said that, like, that it was kind of like a dumb idea, he is trying to stream. He's trying to like stream too now.
Oh no! You motherfucker!
Like he and his partner are trying to do like this stream thing, and it's like, yeah, it's such a trip. You go through life, people will always, like, everyone has an opinion on how they think you should live your life. And you can't be too influenced by that, because you really just have to, like, move in the direction that excites you, no matter how stupid or crazy or like wild the idea is.
Oh, absolutely. I heard a quote recently. The person said something like, man, I remember being back in high school, and like every time I would get a zit, I would flip the fuck out and be like, holy shit, I got a zit on my forehead. I can't believe this. And then when I got older, I realized that nobody gave a shit about your zit, because they were all too focused on whether or not they were getting zits or not. Like, everybody thought that, like, oh, like one person made fun of your face, but you know what? Inside, they were praying that they did not get a zit, or that nobody was noticing the acne. So, like, everybody's too worried about their own shit to really give a shit about what you're doing. So just do whatever the fuck you're going to do.
It's the subtle art of not giving a fuck.
Hey, great book.
Yeah, it was a good one. That book started from a blog post that dude wrote like 7 years ago.
I don't think that I knew that.
Yeah, it's like when I first read it, it's like the and then now, like, he just actually expanded the whole, like, philosophy into a book, and yeah, it's a good read.
That's been,
it's a little like macho, but if you can get past the kind of macho stuff.
Yeah, the alpha, it kind of reeks of alpha a little bit, but if you're somebody who can see past that and read the message behind it, I think it can be a good read for you.
I would actually just recommend the blog post, because it's like the whole book
summarized
in 11 minutes. Yeah. And it's still around. It's still available.
I'll have to, I've always wanted to, because I've read that book. It was probably been 2 or 3, maybe 2 years. And I've always wanted to, like, go back. It's always made me wish that I was one of those note taker readers, or like a page folding bookmark reader. Because sometimes I want to go back and read the book again. But I'm like, man, do I really want to spend? Because I do audiobooks, because I can't read. I can't sit and read a book.
Yeah.
Something I can't do. So I would love to be able to go back and be like, oh, these are the parts that I remember liking and that I'd like to go back and reference. But I haven't really found a good way to do that.
Well, I can almost guarantee you all those parts are probably in the original blog.
In the blog post. All right, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. Yeah. Subtle art of not giving a fuck. Just Google it. You'll probably get a link to the book, and then the blog post will be a few search results down.
Word. Well, that kind of wraps up all the questions that I have. So if you got some time, I'd like to dive into some of the viewer questions, and then we can wrap this up.
For sure.
Sweet. All right. Numero uno. Hold on. I'm stalling while I bring this thing up. Okay. All right. First question comes from Illiterate. How do you grow such luscious hair? That face.
Okay, so do you guys want the complicated answer or the short answer?
No, we want the complicated answer.
Okay, a combination of lemon, pine oil, coconut oil, and lemon balm tincture. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Dude.
God damn it, dude!
I just like grow it out. I wash it. I wash it like once a week. It's like good genes, I guess. There's no secret.
I'm jealous. I'll say that much. By the time that I wanted to grow out my hair that long, it was already falling out. Have you always been a beard man, or is that something that you kind of took on later in life?
Like, I've just always been a beard man. I think, like, because when I was working in, like, the music industry, I would, like, suffer a lot of, like, ageism, because I was so young and it was like hard for people to take me seriously, I guess.
Yep.
So the beard the beard added a few years, I guess. And then it just stayed.
It just stayed with you.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Next question comes from Tempest Born. Walking talker myself. Do you pace?
Yes.
Okay.
I pace in meetings. I pace on calls. I love pacing.
There's something great about taking the same monotonous trail over and over again.
It gets the blood flowing. It gets the oxygen flowing. It's better for posture. It's better for your psyche. Like there's so many benefits.
I've always known to be like a phone pacer. I find that if I can't do it outside, I don't do it. Like I won't pace in my house and talk on the phone. I'll usually find like a spot to sit and kind of chat. But if I have the ability to go outside and have a conversation, it's way better to just kind of walk around and talk. I totally agree there.
Yeah. It's just a good opportunity to like be somewhat active.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially if it forces you to get outside too. Great opportunity.
Exactly. The reason I'm sitting and chilling now is like, as I was pacing and walking, I just saw this little corner of this big, massive building that spoke to me. And I was like, oh, this is a great place to do the thing.
And we're all very much thankful because there's been a couple banging behind you for the last 20 minutes. And it's been a great time.
Wait, actually? No. You're kidding, right?
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Oh my God, you scared the shit out of me. I was like, how did they hear that? And it's been like silent.
What's great?
I'm in my own little world here.
It looked like the video froze at that exact moment too. So it was just terrified face. Oh God, that was fantastic. Next question from
God.
Matt. Yeah, sorry about that. Next question from Matt Weenie. What motivates you to stream?
I guess the biggest motivator for me is that I see it as a way out of something that I'm like not passionate about anymore. And it's just I see it as the next kind of stage of my life and career. And that to me that's like, you know, I think I at least got to a place where I got so bored with what I was doing day to day. I was like, I got to do something else. And so the streaming is like been a nice transition. And like I'm doing a lot of things to transition out of my day job slowly but surely. But to me, like the biggest motivating factor is like, this is what I'm going to do after I'm done, like, you know, marketing and advertising basically.
If you had, what does the JomoSenpai.tv website look like? What does your stream consist of if you are doing it full time? What is your brand, as in like what you do regarding the brand name JomoSenpai? Like what is like the all encompassing kind of workload for you?
Well, there's so many components to it, right? Like I never thought that I would enjoy doing merch so much. So like working with different designers, sourcing really like ethical and high quality fabrics and apparel. So like I've spent a lot of time visualizing. I'm a big visualizer. And so I've spent a lot of time like visualizing what my full-time days look like. And it consists of around like 3 to 4 hours of streaming like 4 times a week. And then a lot of it is just like social media, community management, spending time in other people's streams and like supporting other communities. You know, like most of us, I don't have enough time to do that. I wish I had more time to like spend in other people's streams as well.
Yes.
And then running the gaming workshops for kids. Like a few times a week, and then Yeah, that's like pretty much it. And right there between all those things, you're looking at like the maintenance of like your website, community events. That's full time right there.
Oh, absolutely. That's full time and a half, if you ask me. Time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you're really always on.
I find it insanely more difficult to be active in other people's Discords compared to other people's streams. Like, there are probably 2 or 3 other Discords that I check a day. And even then, it's like, depending on how many channels somebody has, there's absolutely no way, if you are a streamer who is trying to manage your own community in Discord, that you have time to be in more than like 2 or 3. Unless you have a job where you can be on the computer all day long.
Yeah, the Discord's funny because when Discord started blowing up, we saw this like wave of servers that just got populated everywhere. And then now we're starting to see like a normalization, and people are like really just sticking to 1 or 2 Discords. If not their own, then like 1 or 2 of like the streamers they really enjoy.
Yep.
And so yeah, like I've seen a lot of streamers like shut down their Discords because it was just too much of it was too much work for such little return on their time. So like the great Discord normalization is upon us.
Absolutely. And I found like I don't really push my Discord too much. Like, at the end of a stream, I always say, hey, we have a Discord. I really only want people to join if they are interested in talking about the same topics that I am passionate about. Like, the channels that I check the most and that I love spending the most time in are the tech channel, the keyboard channel, the cooking channel. There's a channel we have where people can ask for technical support, which I work in tech support. So like helping people with their tech is a huge passion of mine. Nice. Something I love to do.
Yeah.
And then there was just like we just have like something called the stream library, where anytime I see something on social media, like if OBS posts a new feature or if like a new cool tool is up, like I throw it in the library, like, hey, this is if you want to pay attention to things that are important to us streamers, like check out this channel. And that's kind of like, that's my thing. I don't want you to just join because it's just another channel to join. Like, if the things that we love talking about the most align with the things that you love, then get on in here because you're pretty much guaranteed to have a good time.
Yeah, do you often do, like, I usually typically in my stream title, I'll like have the exclamation Discord command. So that way, like, if people are interested, like they can kind of find their own way there.
I only really put things in my title when it's like a special event. Like if it's like a charity stream, or if we're doing like some sort of, I don't know, special thing. I pretty rarely put commands unless it's like it's pertained to that specific stream. But then again, like I always feel weird about putting Discord links or Discord commands in my title, because I'm like, I just feel like it doesn't feel like it's a good enough incentive for somebody to join. Like, hey, we have a Discord, just join it, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally valid.
Next question, also from Illiterate. What advice would you give someone who is seeing their stream grow but is struggling to continue creating content to keep their community engaged?
Well, I guess like the content creation thing is a very like loose term, because it's kind of like different for everyone. Like, content creation for me is spending half an hour after a stream highlighting clips from the stream, right? Content creation for like Illiterate or someone like Nugget and Chill is like spending many hours in front of a computer in like the Adobe suite of tools, creating like complex videos and thumbnails. So like you kind of just, you do what you have time for, and like I think you just do your best to find efficiencies everywhere. Illiterate knows all about that. But yeah, like there's never enough hours in the day to make content, right? Like it's just every spare moment you get when you like feel creative, when you feel that spark, you act, right? Like and the biggest trap is beating yourself up over the fact that you think you're not doing it enough.
Right.
That's like one of the biggest traps.
What I will add on to that is if you, at the end of a month, if you look back at your stream and if you can confidently say, I am making the content that I love, like I'm doing cooking, I'm doing Lego building, I am playing video games, just keep doing that thing. There are some things that you need to do in order to kind of build your stream up. Like there's social media tactics, there's certain stream tactics, but like you just need to do what you love doing, and you will eventually find other people who also love the same thing. I've been doing variety streaming almost the entirety of my streaming career. And while, yes, I haven't stuck to one game and my community hasn't grown very, very large, like I can confidently say that I'm doing everything that I love on Twitch. And it just makes me way happier at the end of the day. Yeah.
That is so well said. That is so well said. Like, as you don't need like growth or numbers to have fun on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I just almost like 9 out of 10 streamers I see bummed about, you know, not growing. And I'm like, that, you know, like that is, that's the wrong attitude. Like, yeah, it's, sorry, I'm just like really passionate about that.
No, dude, I'm glad.
That's all I will say.
If you are not already following this guy on Twitter, you need to, because your Twitter is actually what brought me to your stream. The videos that you put up there, I get a great vibe from you, and I love the message that you put out. And it's always just so refreshing to come by and get some awesome vibes from your channel. Also, the Spotify playlist, 10 out of 10.
Thank you, dude. Get like content creation. Like there's so many other environments. Like if you really want to grow, like do stuff in other places of the web, you know?
Yep. And I will say, illiterate,
yeah.
I have been playing video games on Twitch for 6.5 years. And just this past year, I introduced custom keyboard building into part of my stream. And those get the same amount, if not more, viewers and interaction during those streams than when I play video games. And it's something that I absolutely love doing. Unfortunately, it's way more of a financial burden to build keyboards than it is to play video games that you already own. Like it's way more expensive. So I can't do it as often. But I know that when I branch out into these other hobbies and passions that I have, then I'm having a good time. And there are people who, even if they don't like what you're doing, they like you enough to hang out. And it's just an amalgamation of all of those things makes for a really, 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 really good time when you're live.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next question, second to last, from Inked Guy. Ask him about his first raid.
So I must have been streaming for like, I don't know, 3 months, like 3 months into streaming. And I didn't even know what a raid was at that point. Like, and one day I was playing Okami. I'll never forget that day I was playing Okami, which is like a beautiful kind of like older game. And like all these people started like blowing up chat. And I'm like, what is going on here? Is this like a view bot? Am I getting like botted right now? And they were just like, they came from this this community called Small Streamer Community. And they found me through the tag I was using. And I guess Inked Guy initiated that raid, and he that day explained to me what a raid was, and that was like one of the best. That was like one of the best to this day, like one of the best moments I've ever had.
Raiding is still such an exhilarating event for me. I make a big deal out of it, like to the point where it's probably so annoying to the people who have been in my community for a while. I don't give a fuck. I love just taking 30 seconds to just lose my shit real quick.
Dude, the only time I ask people not to leave my stream is at the end when we raid. And I always say the perfect end to the perfect stream is the perfect raid.
Yes.
Because it hypes everyone up. Like seeing the reaction on someone's face when you come, it's like imagine you started a party and no one shows up. And then like halfway through your party, 30 people show up at your door.
Yes.
And are just ready to fucking go. Like they're already drunk. You know, like that is what it feels like.
Yes.
It's such a positive experience.
It really is. Yep. And I do the same thing. I always end my stream with, look, please do me this one last favor. I don't care if you party for 5 seconds. Like, just do me a favor. Jump into this with me. Copy paste a couple times, and just do it and just have a good time. And then if you want to, just go on with your day. And to see not only your people participate and see like them get hype in chat, but yeah, again, to see the look on the other person's face. It's just an all-around great time. It's one of my favorite parts of being a streamer, for sure.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, one of the best raids I ever did was, we raided this streamer and like he like didn't really want to talk about it, but he started talking about how like he was like going to this wedding and he just got like identity theft and like a bunch of his credit cards stolen, and then like the 30 or so of us that like rated him ended up just like donating hundreds of dollars just because like he was having a rough time.
Right.
And you could tell he was pretty genuine about it. Like you could tell he was kind of like didn't really want to talk about it, but we were coaxing it out of him. And he like ended up just like breaking down and crying.
Man.
And like to have a platform where experiences like that are possible for just random people all over the world, like it's, how could you not want to be a part of that?
Yes. How many times have you cried on stream?
I was maybe once close to crying, but I've never like broken down crying. Okay.
I have a lot. I've done it quite a few times.
That's really great. That's really great. You know, you
Uh-oh. Lag. Oh, God, no. Jomo! Yeah, I'm going to die laughing if his phone just died right there. Oh, no. Oh, no! All right, hold on. We'll give him a sec to catch up. I'll see if he drops out of the Discord call. Poor Jomo. If only the video could have froze when he did this. I think, like, as soon as I said the name illiterate or inked guy, he went like that. That was an emote face right there. All right, hold on. Waiting for Discord to just go doo-doo. By the way, whoever did his artwork, that super neon artwork that he uses for Discord, 10 out of 10. Could have heard a battery beep. Oh no. What if his phone was dying and he didn't even know? Oh no, poor guy. And now he's like, he's not even at home. So he's I don't know if he brought a charging cord with him. Oh God. I don't know what to do. I mean, we can wait around. I'll wait around for a little bit to see if he ever comes back. I just picture him in the middle of like Times Square. No! Please, God, no! My battery. Oh, poor guy. Inked guy, we think his battery died. Look at how good he looks. Yeah, he was just and there goes the dee-doo. Battery dead. It was either that or his connection dropped. One of the two. All right, we'll just chill here for a second. I'll see if he sends me a message. He is officially offline on Discord, so I'm going to guess that his battery died. What a champ, though. Dude is sitting outside in Canada right now on a bench doing an hour and a half podcast, holding up his phone in the air. This man has the stamina of a freaking moose. What an insane person. Well, in case this is the end of the podcast, Jomo, goodbye. It was an awesome time talking to you. Today's podcast was exactly what I wanted it to be. Jomo's a great fucking dude, and I had a really good time talking to him. If you guys are not following this guy, do me a favor. Here, there's going to be a link in chat, okay? There it is. There's a link there. It's got a link to his Twitter, his Instagram, his Twitch. A genuine good guy with a fantastic community. If you ever want to go in and just get some good vibes, listen to some good tunes. I think it's safe to... Oh my God, how am I doing that? Oh my God. I think he has more energy than I do. Like when he is live, he has the energy of like a Super Saiyan. It's insane. He goes off, and his community has just as much energy as he does. What the fuck is up with this new Twitch dashboard? Can somebody tell me that, dude? Like, whose idea was it to make this dashboard look this way? I gave it a shot. I tried the beta for like 2 weeks. I've been using this thing I hate it. It's so fucking terrible. It's not even useful. And I don't want to look at my follower numbers and my viewers and my subscribers when I'm motherfucking live. All right. Well, I think it is safe to say that Jomo is not coming back. Unfortunately, Mo fucking Smurfs. I'm sorry that we didn't get to your question. Maybe we'll have to, I'll have to send him the question after the fact, and he can answer it in his famous walking and pacing style. Oh, yeah, same here, Tempest, man. I just can't believe that and made it past testing. And I know that like everybody is super afraid of change. By the way, difference between Logitech C920 and Sub 2R. #ad. I don't know why they did it this way. Too bad. Well, poor Jomo. Again, guys, if you aren't already, do me a favor. Click on his link. The link's in chat. Give him a follow. Check him out. Super good dude. If you didn't gather that from this podcast already, then what the fuck are you doing? But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here because I'm assuming his battery died. And if that's the case, we were near the end of the stream anyways. But yeah. Thank you guys so much. Speaking of raids,